are you guys doing? I think I fixed my microphone. As it turns out, when my computer updated recently, it decided to put this microphone at like 50% volume output. So I don't know why it did that, but it did. Hopefully this is, better. I'm looking at the levels and it's looking okay. So let me know how it sounds. But thank you all for your patience. I did not realize that my promo little thumbnail thing was on my laptop and not my computer. So there are a few extra things that I had to do that I did not account for, but oh well. I just had something spicy for lunch, so I wanted to just kind of chat with you guys a little bit before we truly get started. I do have a little coffee with me, just to have something to sip on while we chat. But today we are going to be looking at a Nagahara and a Sankyo. So I know we've talked about this for a few weeks now. You guys kind of came up with this idea. I think Just Another Flute Guy here suggested comparing Nagahara against Sankyo because they are kind of like, they're very close in terms of like, what people, like when people try flutes. These apparently seem to be pretty close to each other. And just to be completely clear, neither one of these is better than the other. It's a preference thing, and we're here to find out why one person might prefer one to the other. So, but we're all unique and we're all different. So just want to put that out there. I know that sometimes some people drop into these streams thinking that I'm going to pick a winner, but there is no winner. The Flute Center helps vet all these flutes to me, so I don't have to make that judgment call about whether a flute is good or not. I know these flutes that are coming to me are all really good, so we're really here just to be nerds and figure out why one type of flutist will prefer one flute versus another flutist preferring a different type of flute. So I just wanted to put that out there. See, as Just Another Flute Guy said, 401, the Sankyo 401 is the artist equivalent in Japan. I see. All right. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to get that intro out first before I say hello to you guys. I'm not sure if you can really tell. I'm not at my 100% today. I'm probably not going to be as energetic as I am in most of my other streams. I'm on my period. I don't know what else to tell you guys. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not, I'm not half dead. I would say I'm like quarter dead, So yeah, I'm not at my 100%. And so today's going to be just pretty chill. Yeah, but let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Hello, Nicholas, Just Another Flute Guy. Vericosin, hello. Arthur, Blind Guy, Ryan. Ryan, welcome back. Let's see. Let's see who else. Victor, hello. Victor, don't worry. I got a water here. We Gucci. Hey, Jody, how are you? You got your cup of chai tea. Cheers. This is instant coffee. Shh. I just can't help it. That 3-in-1 is just so good. This is a brand that we got for pretty cheap at Costco. So who knows if it's going to stay that cheap. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. Hello, Michael. Brianna, hello. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I recall you from other streams as well, and I can't remember if it's Brianna or Brianna. Wonderful. Still chasing that taste of coffee. I really am. You don't even know. Do you know what it's like to taste a particular coffee that is a mix of beans and roasts, like very artfully, thoughtfully put together by your like nephew once removed. Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like to find family on the other side of the world who is just as obsessed with coffee as you, if not more? My God, it is like, like it's like finding long lost loved ones, you know? It's kind of it's weird in a wonderful way to meet family, not be blood related together, but share the same love of something, and I think it's not just chasing that particular taste of that coffee. I'm sort of chasing the memory too. Where those who share the memory. I don't know how many of you will understand that joke, but anyway. Yeah. Do I say correctly every time, Brianna? Hell yeah. I respond to Joanna and Joanna. Like I respond to both. I think technically I'm Joanna. But yeah, I tons of people just call me Joanna, and I think my mind has just like just categorized it as a correct pronunciation. I think the only time that I truly thought to myself, oh no, honey, that's not how you pronounce my name. Because I get Joanne, I get Joanna. Well, Joanna is the correct one. I get Joanna. The only pronunciation that I've ever gotten where I was like, oh, honey, no, was someone called my name, but they had only ever seen my name written. And for some reason, even though we were in the same class, they never paid attention to anyone else calling out my name before. So they kept yelling in the back of my head, like to the back of my head. They just kept yelling, Jonah, Jonah, Jonah. And I'm just like, who the hell is Jonah? And then finally they tapped me on the shoulder and they're like, Jonah. And I was like, I'm Joanna. Because I was just so shocked. Because I didn't know that they were talking to me. I mean, I think looking back, I was only 13 at the time. But looking back, I probably could have said something like, oh, just so you know, my name is pronounced Joanna. But I was just so shocked that I was like, I'm Joanna. I don't know. Brianna, have you ever gotten something like that? Please tell me no one has called you Brina, okay? Saturday, how are you? We're enjoying a spot of coffee before we start because I had something spicy for lunch and I realized I need to kind of let my mouth sort of cool down a little bit before we start. Yeah. It's Sankyo time. It is. Well, for the Sankyo, just so you guys know, we're not doing a full review of the Sankyo because we already reviewed it, but I did take out the little, whatchamacallit, the drawing that I made last time. So we'll review that. I will play it, kind of refamiliarize myself with Sankyo. Because I need to have like a good current recent little play around with it before I hop onto the Nagahara. So, it won't be a full review. It'll be a review of a review. Mm-hmm. Coffee jelly beans for Easter. Oh, I would eat those up. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to start with the Sankyo first and then the Nagahara. Exactly, Nicholas. Exactly. Brianna, you've been called Brina? No! You got Sabrina? Oh, that is some disrespect there. Because I think in my opinion, it's really quite insulting when a person decides that your name was misspelled. And you're like, no, that's my name. You can't just go adding things to it that is very clearly changes it to another name. Like, I completely understand that if you call me a variation of my name, right? That's why I respond to pretty much like any version of Joanna, a reasonable version of Joanna. I do not respond to Jonah. So, but yeah, I always think that it's always a little bit, it's a little bit insulting, you know? It's just kind of like, honey, do you not think it's weird if someone just decided to call you by a different name? Saturday, you're starting Anderson Opus 30. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. The Andersons are real good stamina builders. Ooh, talk about stamina. It's like mental and physical stamina, I feel. Opus 15 is particularly gnarly. I don't think I've ever actually made it through all of 15. Like, I started it a couple of times with like a few teachers and we never got through it all. If you're coasting, you're going to try and see if you can go to Flute Center of Chicago on Saturday. Oh my God, have so much fun. That's going to be so great. You know, like, you guys see how like I get carried away when I do these reviews? That's essentially what it's like to go to the Flute Center. You're just trying flutes and figuring them out, and you know, like it just, you get so carried away, and it is delightful. Absolutely delightful. Yeah. Michael, you've been called Michelle. Yeah. It's okay to stand up for yourself and correct people. It's totally okay, especially if you're polite about it. You could just say, oh, actually, my name is pronounced blah, blah, blah. You know, like you can just say that. You can just say, oh, by the way, actually, my name is pronounced blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Like, you don't have to demand anything. It's just a simple correction, and it's totally fine to do it politely, you know? Yeah, except for Starbucks. That's true. Except for Starbucks. Yeah. Yeah. When I give my name, because I don't really go to Starbucks anymore, but at other coffee shops, they do ask for your name as well. I usually overpronounce my name, you know, like, because it's so loud, you know, music and people and stuff like that. And, you know, like all the machines going. So I'd go Joanna. Like, I put like, like I put like an extra little something on the A, Joanna, you know? So, because usually people just call me Joanna. Like, it's very kind of like sort of just slurred together. But I go Joanna. If you overpronounce it a little bit, then they hear me a little better. And so far, I've had really good luck. A lot of people actually straight up write my name correctly. I've actually stopped getting Joanne's with like no vowel at the end. I've actually also weirdly stopped getting Joanna with an E at the end. Joanna with an E was like really popular for a very long time. So a lot of people, like when I was a kid especially, used to just always misspell my name because they would always put an E at the end instead. Yeah. Oh, Rachel is pretty hard though, because like you can't really tell from people saying it out loud, you know? So when they like for a name like that, you always have to, like, if you're gonna write that name out, those are the types of names that you have to be like, oh, can you provide the spelling for that, you know? Yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to catch up with you guys, what you guys are saying. Starbucks with their on purpose for publicity. I'll catch up with the chat a little bit, and then I'll tell you guys the most hilarious misspelling of my name that I've ever had. So I've had Jonah was the most hilarious mispronunciation, but I have a really great misspelling too. Okay, so let's see. Let's see, 4 pages per etude. Yes. I even just thinking about that for the Anderson 15 is just basically a movement of a sonata. I would say it's like, to me, the stamina is even more than a movement for a sonata, because at least for a sonata you have a bit of like downtime where like the piano will play a bit or another instrument will play a bit. You know what I mean? Like there's like phrases and the phrases end, and then, so there's like up and down, and there's like some moments of rest. Anderson 15, Opus 15, no, honey, you don't ever get to rest. You just playing the entire time. Yeah. Saturday, are you doing the Opus 15? Rose etudes, I don't think I've done those. Oh, do they spell it Joanna with the capital A? No, not anymore. Because I feel like the Joanna with a capital A, that has kind of gone out of style. So, because most people who are taking my name at like coffee shops, restaurants, etc., they tend to be younger people. Like they're not. I would say that the only people who spell my name with the capital A are people in their like late 50s, 60s, But anyone younger than that, anyone like, I would say even mid 50s and below now, no, like none of them spell my name with the capital A anymore. I think it's just kind of faded out of trends, So like I think a lot of people don't even know that that's a way to spell it anymore. But I used to get that all the time when I was a kid, because those people were like 40, 40, maybe like late 30s or something. So yeah. Tried an American fife. How fun. I have one too. Yeah, it's not tuned very well. Got it at a gift shop. Maybe I might bust it out sometime and show you guys. Let's see. Hi, Emma. How are you doing? I'm right, yeah? Would love to see people spell Jolene as a Jolene with the capital L. Do people actually do that? I'm so curious. Mustafa, hello. Is this sponsored by Flute Center? The stream isn't sponsored by them, but I get to use their inventory as I please. So what you're seeing here is the Flute Center has lent me these for me to review for fun. Yeah. I will let you guys know. I'll always let you guys know if a stream is sponsored by the Flute Center. But in this case, no, the stream is not sponsored, but they're letting me use this as I please. And if you do want to support me, I do get a commission if you use my code JAF for all the little perks that are listed in the video description below. When you take flutes out on trial, purchase an instrument. Also, you can use my code for their flute sheet music, and also for their accessories. So some accessories do, they didn't used to, but now they do. You can get some, I forget the exact perk. You guys get, I'm just going to read it. Okay. So if you're going to get some instruments out on trial and you're going to buy an actual flute, get free shipping, domestic shipping within the US, 10-day trial instead of 7 days, 18-month warranty on new flutes instead of 12 months. And you get to try up to 3 instruments per trial. For sheet music, if you use my code JAF, then you get 10% off your entire order. And yeah, so I believe, yes. And then you also get 5% off qualifying accessories at the Flute Center. So yeah, if you want to support me, help me earn some commission, that is entirely up to you. And I'll be very thankful if you do. It does allow me to keep doing what I do. And the Flute Center has essentially allowed me even more freedom in what I review and what I stream. So these streams do not have to be approved by the Flute Center or anything like that. You're just seeing me, but they're allowing me to use their inventory, which is really awesome. So um, hey, Sean, how are you? Hello, John, how are you? Speaking of Powell, are you trying a Powell? Um, so, Sean, you're asking where this Hello Kitty sweater is. This thing is so old. Do you guys remember Forever 21? I know that they recently, I think, are starting to close their stores, but I must have gotten this like more than 10 years ago. Must be. I think it's like more than 10 years ago. Um, but yeah, it was just it was very randomly on like one of their clearance racks. And yeah, I've had it ever since. It's a great little sweater. I really like it. I feel like they don't really make sweaters like in this kind of shape anymore. I don't know. This probably dates me like crazy, but the slightly wider collar always looks better on me. And this particular fit is kind of loose, but also sort of like it drapes really well on me. They don't make these anymore, guys. So many of my sweaters that I wear that are like this are like more than 10 years old now because I can't find them anymore. They're not fashionable anymore. But yeah, that's where I got it. Forever 21 back in the day. Before, like, I'm actually surprised with this like quality. I do actually think Forever 21's quality used to be actually better. I mean, as you can see, but don't know. New sweaters just aren't very cool anymore. I think you have to look hard for them. And if you do find them, they're very expensive. So like I do have a really cool hoodie that we bought. I would say like kind of fan-made Genshin one, which I have worn on stream before, but I've just never mentioned what it was. And it is very cool, but ooh, that thing was it was like kind of one of those like special like Kickstarter type of things. So like we had to pay a lot of money and wait a very long time for it to come in. I think it was like upwards of like $60 for this hoodie, but it's beautiful hoodie. It's gorgeous hoodie, made very, very well. And we waited, I want to say like a year, almost a year and a half, something like that for it, but it was worth it. It's a great one. We finished my coffee, not too late. So let's get started on the Sankyo 401. Victor is asking if I'm going to attend any Easter holiday concerts. Probably not. Going to be very real with you guys. Hubs is flaring again. So if you guys don't know what's going on, because I'm very aware that some of you have never, will drop in and have no idea who I am. My husband has a chronic skin condition that kind of ebbs and flows. And so we're kind of in a flare at the moment. Flares usually last, a short flare is like 2 weeks. But this one is looking to be a pretty long one and a pretty bad one. But still not as bad as the last bad one. So a bad one usually lasts about 6 weeks. So, we're kind of tired. And we're kind of, like it prevents us from being able to go out to enjoy things for a very long period of time. So, like it sucks, but at the same time, it's still not as bad as the last bad flare. So we're counting our blessings, just kind of trying to remain fairly positive about it, but we're tired. I think you guys can probably tell because like not only am I on my period, but we're also dealing with that. So anyway, putting the Nagahara to the side for a hot second. Yeah, I didn't want to really tell you guys too much about it, just because it's so repetitive. You know, this whole TSW, topical steroid withdrawal thing, is so repetitive that it, like, I don't want to make it sound like you know, I'm making excuses and stuff like that, but the fact of the matter is that it's happening, and it is affecting my energy levels. But I mean, the fact that I can still do this is awesome. So I'm, in that regard, I'm really happy, because at one point it consumed our lives so much that I couldn't even do this. Like, I couldn't even sit here and do a stream with you guys, you know, on something nerdy like this, because I would just be so tired that, like, and my mind was just so, you know, so, like, just so full of worry that, you know, you just can't really focus on anything. But I can now. So I'm like, you know, it's not horrible, you know? But anyway, let's review our Sankyo. The head joint that I kept was the FT. And the only reason why I kept this head joint instead of the RT was because I just kind of wanted to keep everything the same way they packed it over to me. And I figured, you know, I'm not the one buying this instrument, okay? So let's keep things as close to how they sent it to me. However, if I recall correctly, I believe I actually preferred the RT more, because I think that one had more of like a wave style lip plate. So Mustafa is asking if we can start with the Nagahara. I'm so sorry, I'm going to override that just because we have already reviewed the Sankyo 401. So for my purposes, as the person who's doing the review, I want to make sure that I remember how the Sankyo 401 feels. And then don't worry, we're probably going to be spending most of our time on the Nagahara. So don't you worry. Hold tight. We'll get there. So let's put this guy together. I'm just going to rattle off the specs for you guys really quickly. So I'm just looking on the website here. So this is sterling silver hand cut head joint, sterling silver body mechanism, pinned mechanism. Yes, pinned mechanism, drawn tone holes, French open hole model, pointed key arms, gold springs. I believe this one is is this standard? Let me look at this. No, this guy's a heavy boy. This was heavy wall, wasn't it? I think it was heavy wall. Let me see if I kept the invoice. I don't have the invoice. Dang it. Sometimes I don't keep the invoice and like I can't quite remember. I think this was the heavy wall. Is there a way for me to check? 925. I feel like this was the heavy wall. Do you guys remember? On the back, just under the barrel. Okay. So it has 925 on here for the silver, but not the, that's the silver content. Although, does 413 mean anything? Is that the millimeter? Is that the 0.41 millimeter? It says 413 right here. And I'm not sure what the 413 means. I seem to recall that this one was heavy wall. And then A equals 442, Sankyo pads, B foot joint, handmade in Japan. What else do we have on here? We have a C sharp trill, split E mechanism. We've got the gizmo. I think that's most of what we've got here. Yes. Okay, so I was right. So yeah, so it says 413 here. So I think that that does mean that this is heavy wall. I'm picking it up and I'm like, yeah, that feels like a heavy wall. It's quite heavy, heavy wall. Okay, so let's put it together. I do have the drawing that I made. So I'm going to leave that on the screen and then just kind of review how this little baby feels. I'm very, very curious to see like how similar and how different the Nagahara is to this, you know. Cuz I think it was more than you, Nicholas, like more than one person in the chat was mentioning um comparing the Sankyo with a Nagahara. So, the first time I heard about Nagahara was um, my friend who I played in the Vancouver Academy Orchestra with. I don't know how many of you guys remember the story, but I entered the Vancouver Academy Orchestra when I was 14 and ended up playing with flute students who are actually attending music school at the University of British Columbia. So they would borrow students from the music school at the University of British Columbia and, to essentially be able to play big pieces of music because most of the actual teenagers were in the string section. So I believe that's not the way it works now, but that's the way it worked back in my day. And I was like, I think the youngest person in the winds and brass section. So, I was making friends with people who were much, much older than me. So, 2 years later, Sir James Galway came into town and, we put on our one and only Vancouver Flute Festival at the University of British Columbia. So my friend was playing a Nagahara at the time, and she played for Sir James Galway at a master class, and he tried her flute. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he ended up getting a Nagahara for himself after that. But that was very cool. But that was my first, encounter with Nagahara. Was essentially my big flute sister played a Nagahara, and she's so lovely and beautiful, and she was very encouraging and very sweet, and so I have a lot of very kind of like sweet memories that I associate with Nagahara. And now I have a Nagahara mini, so but yeah. That's why I always say that, like, if you have younger people in your group or orchestra or whatever, you hold a lot of power to create insanely wonderful core memories. You also have a lot of power to make very terrible core memories, but I think if you know that you harness this power, you have this power to create core memories for someone, use it for good. Because I know that her influence really, I think, influenced me to be kind to, other flutists up and coming. Kindness always wins. So just kind of wanted to share that with you guys. But anyway, let's review this. I'm going to be staring at my little drawing there to see if I can remember everything. have to tilt my head back to make enough room. There it is. Woo! Okay, I think it is exactly what I wrote here, because that should not have sounded so clear right off the bat. I have not actually played this flute since I last reviewed it, if any of you guys are thinking. But yeah. Sir James now has multiple Nagaharas. I'm not surprised. He's got a platinum. I feel like that's so Sir James, you know? Fits him. That fits him so nice with a custom lightweight 9K mech. Oh, my goodness. That combo just must be so beautiful. Oh my god. Nagahara-san worked for Sankyo. So it's kind of like Dijao had worked for Powell. And so you do feel the Powell influence in Dijao flutes, but you can tell he's kind of put his own spin on it. So we're kind of looking at like the trainer and the trainee. Is that what we're looking at basically? And Powell used to work for Haynes. No wonder. Yep. Lillian Burkhart was the piccolo maker at Powell. See, we're actually one big family. This is why I always say it's not a competition. It's not a competition. We want more diversity. If we have more diversity in like the flute making business, it's more accessible for more people to play the flute, you know? So it was fantastic. Anyway. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to review was like, am I playing with the air bubble or am I playing with the space behind it? I think I'm mostly playing with the air bubble to manipulate for dynamics and tone color. I get the sneaky suspicion looking at this that this would be way more comfortable for my mouth if this was a C-foot joint. So like if let's say alternate universe Joanna did not live in the States and alternate universe Joanna lived like in Europe or in like, you know, one of the Asian countries. You know, high chance of that, I think, for alternate universe Joanna. Like, I think I would really like this on a C-foot because then that would raise the lowest notes higher and the highest notes lower. And that would be perfect for my mouth. Also, I'm really glad I took some time to like let my mouth unswell from my spicy lunch, because I think I wouldn't be able to play like that right now if everything was still swollen. But because this is actually weirdly very close to my flute. I'm realizing now looking at it. It's just a little bit like stretched out, you know. Because my mouth does prefer like low notes to kind of be outside, like in front of the teeth. And then the higher notes to be kind of right behind my front teeth. So, you know, it's interesting that, you know, these are Japanese flutes. So it's very interesting to note that. It's kind of making me think a little bit. Like it's making me think a little bit about just like mouth formations and stuff like that, and like why I would enjoy this. So interesting. This does take a lot of air, I'm noticing, because of that heavy wall. So I feel like you can push more, and this is a very good, I think, soloistic instrument, especially if you want to push a lot of air through it. This can lean back against you, which is really nice. So let's see. The tonguing is very comfortable. That's what made me kind of remember that. Like I was like, the tonguing is so comfortable because it reminds me a lot of my own flute. It's just that my tongue needs to go lower and go higher than it needs to on my own flute. Okay. And of course the mechanism is beautifully even. It's like if I didn't look at the mechanism, I probably actually would be tempted to think that this was pinless. Like the craftsmanship is insane. It's done very, very well. So, this, I have to say, in my opinion, is like one of the best, if not the best, that I personally have tried of pinned mechanisms. And this is something that's very good for people to know if you want your flute to be even lighter. So pinned mechanisms are lighter than pinless. And I think up until me trying it just now, I'm like this is so even. Like it's very impressive, you know, how even it is. Yeah, the best pinned mech next to Muramatsu. Yeah. Hey Justin, how are you? Hey Nathan, how are you? It's very, very impressive. So let's just write a few notes just for me to help me process kind of like what I'm thinking here. So just for myself, this is similar to Joe's flute combo, because mine is a combo of Monka and Brannon. So just goes lower and higher, you know, so it's kind of more stretched out. And then so it's air bubble manipulation for tone, color, and dynamics. And then we're saying the pinned mechanism. The pinned mechanism is impressive. Like craftsmanship is beautiful. So yeah, like if you want to get like a lighter instrument, well, this isn't very light because it's heavy wall, but like let's say you got like a standard wall, let's say you got C foot joint, and then with the pin mechanism, that will kind of help lighten up the flute a lot for you. And you know, having the C sharp trill adds the weight back on, but you know, in general, pin mechanism is lighter than pinless. So I think you really have your options out there for like, you know, what you can look for that will match your body. Yeah, your 201 is so light. Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is just a bit of a heavy boy to me because, you know, he's heavy wall. So okay. So I think that's my like just very quick review of this particular flute. So we are going to spend the rest of our time on the Nagahara, but I will keep this guy out just so we can kind of go back and forth. Okay, so we've got our Nagahara here. Let's see how we want to do this. I do have my swab here, so let me just swab this out really quick, just to not have the slobber kind of sitting in there. This, in my experience, doesn't get everything out, but it gets most of it out, which is what you want when you're kind of like in between playing. You don't have to get all of the condensation out, every time you swap, especially if you're actively playing. You only need to get it all out once you're putting the flute away. So, okay, we'll do that. And then put this back over here to save some room. We will go to this screen so you guys can see me opening this guy up. So here we go. We're gonna leave the Sankyo here. Actually, we're gonna put the Sankyo over here so it's nice and protected. But when I open up the case here. So here we go. I do enjoy the red lining. Very like, you know, upscale, kind of has a very, very nice kind of elegant luxe feel. But I am going to kind of take it out of the case here. All right, put this off to the side. Take a look here. Okay, so this is our Nagahara. I think what's particularly interesting about this, I was out of the house yesterday, so that's why I couldn't update the specs on this until today. And I try to keep a really good kind of work-life balance, so I was not working at night. I could have done it last night, but I was like, no, I'm not working at night. So anyway, what's very interesting about this flute is that this is 0.950 silver. So it is kind of like a deeper silver than sterling silver, which is 0.925. But it is slightly lighter than Britannia silver, which is 0.958. So this is a custom Nagahara in 950 silver. I did put the product link in the description below. So if you've been here since the very beginning of the stream, you may need to refresh the page to see it, because I put it in when some of you guys were already in the stream. So, but we will I'm going to rattle off the specs for you guys. So we have 0.950 silver hand-cut head joint. Sterling, well, this is if you get the head joint that comes with it. This is actually a slightly different head joint, so we'll skip the bit about the head joint. So it's 0.950 silver body, sterling silver mechanism. So the mechanism is 925, which makes sense. They don't need to be, you know, the deeper silver. Nagahara pinless mechanism. So we are working with pinless mechanism here. Soldered silver tone holes, silver rings, ribs, and posts. I believe you can upgrade them. Let me see. Yeah, you can add 14 karat rings if you want. The rings are these guys right here, kind of like around the barrel, that area, like down here, I think. And then French open hole model, pointed key arms, white gold springs, triad pads. So I'm just gonna read off of the invoice that was sent to me as well about that. Let's see, 0.016 tubing, so standard wall, B-foot joint, handmade in USA. So this is Nagahara USA. And let's see, I believe this is the standard model. Yeah, this is the standard model. So in terms of the extra bits, by the way, when they say triad pads, apparently it is technically, the full name for it is Nagahara V8 triad pads. I don't entirely know what that means, but I'm assuming it's some proprietary design of the keypads. Let's see. We have inline G here, so I probably need to use a little plug for that. And then we have C-sharp trill key. Yep, C-sharp trill key. And then we have the D-sharp roller. Anything else? No, I think everything else was as I mentioned earlier. Now the head joint is 958 silver. So you'll see in the description below, I have a separate item for just the Nagahara head joint, because this is not the 950 head joint. This is the 958 head joint. So this is Britannia silver. It's a deeper silver. So 958 silver tube. So the tube is Britannia silver, slightly deeper than the 950 for the body here. The lip plate here is sterling silver, so 925 silver. The riser is 18 karat Nagahara extended riser, which I think is so cool because I think you guys can just see it. So you see what this means by extended riser by the fact that you can actually see the gold peeking out beyond the lip hole. Isn't that cool? I think that's very, very cool. I'm expecting that likely what that does. I'm just gonna try and focus this on my finger a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, so my guess is that it kind of makes it probably feel even more like gold. I don't know if I'm just talking out of my butt, so we're gonna see very soon when I review this, when I play it. And this has the silver crown. Yep, silver crown. This is also standard wall, so 0.016 inch. The cut of this is called DA cut. And I believe on the, like if you go to the product page, there is actually an explanation of all of the different cuts that Nagahara offers. So let me just rattle them all out for you guys, because I know that some of you guys are just kind of listening to this. So we have the D cut, which is diligente, and I hope I'm saying that correctly. So this is the D cut is the most resistant cut with tallest riser wall height. Oh, that's so interesting. Produces a dark and centered core tone, great response in low register notes, requires more air support for long or pianissimo phrases. That does make sense. If it's more, the more resistant the like a flute is, the more you have to push against it, because it's pushing against you in order to, like, you know, make sure you have that really nice smooth long note ending, you know, and like, you know, very pianissimo sound. All right, so we got then the A cut, which is the ardore, bright open sound and free blowing feel, embodies the American flute sound. See, yeah, more that kind of like big, bright, you know, punch in the face kind of sound. American flute sound with much vibrancy and strength in the sound. Widest cut we offer with the lowest riser wall height. Very much makes sense. Very much makes sense. Then we have the S cut, which is the spianato. Traditional, more conservative cut for smaller ensemble playing. Okay, so probably a slightly more muted sound, probably more blendable, not quite so in your face. A bit more oval in shape. Yeah, that's way more traditional. Probably a sweeter sound, I'm guessing. Made to portray a soft and sweet sounding voice. I do know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then we have the DA cut, which is a cross between the diligente and the ardore. So the diligente, again, was the one that's the most resistant. And the ardore was the one that's the more of the American sound, the big, bright, punch in your face kind of sound. So even flexibility and resistance throughout all registers. The most popular cut selection among flutists of all levels, offering a great mixture and balance of warmth, vibrancy, color change, and clear articulation. And that is what we have here. We have a DA cut. So we have kind of like a cross between like something that gives a dark centered core sound, but also has that open, free blowing, kind of very vibrant sound. I think that's a very American preference, you know. There is like I would say that American flutists by far are always searching for that very dark core, rich sound, but also has that kind of like the like vibrancy and like the kind of like projection, you know, like very, very concerto soloist sort of sound, you know, like that is kind of like a very, very typical American favorite, I would say. So, all right. And then we have DS, which is a cross between diligente and spianato cut. So again, the diligente is the one with the dark centered sound. And then the spianato is the traditional cut, so the more oval cut. So let's see what they say. Medium resistance with a more delicate and sweet sound. Great for chamber ensemble playing. Okay, so I think what we're working with here is something that's very, very soloistic. So I think this is a great kind of comparison to the Sankyo, because we did just say that the Sankyo has, in my opinion, a very soloistic personality to it. So I think we're working with two very soloistic flutes here. Okay, and then lastly, there is the G cut, which is the Galway cut. Okay, so this one is made with a unique lip plate design that enhances projection power and embodies the vibrant sound Sir James Galway is known and praised for. Provides flexibility and clean articulation with ease through all registers. That's the one I want to try. I really want to try that one. I might put in a request for that one. I'm going to write that down if you guys don't mind. That's a personal, I'm very curious about that one. So I'm just going to put it in here. Let's see. I have, so for the Nagahara, I think I want to try, yeah, the Galway cut. And then maybe I'll put and other cuts. I'm very curious about them. Very, very curious. Because I have tried, I don't know if you guys remember, but I tried the Gemeinhart Galway like Crusader flute. And I thought it was like, because the head joint on the Gemeinhart Crusader is a carbon copy of one of Sir James Galway's head joints. And it gave me some very interesting insight as to how Sir James might play. I say might because it's, you know, we have to also, you know, account for the fact that it's my mouth doing it. So I found it to be very interesting because it was very unique. You kind of blow in a slightly different angle than I would say a lot of flutes want. You get a beautiful sound out of it. But yeah, I would say when they use the word unique lip plate design, I am not surprised by that because that's kind of how I felt with the Crusader. Yeah. The Nagahara Galway cut is amazing. Excellent. I hope they have it on hand because now I'm very curious to try it. And I kind of almost want, like, it's going to be completely an unfair comparison, but like I'm kind of curious about like what would it be like against the Gemeinhart Crusader. Put this here. So that would be like a revisiting, but like essentially it'd be interesting to compare all the Galway cuts out there, you know? Yeah, I'm sure there's no comparison, but I would like to know what the difference is, you know? Like see like what's going on, right? Does Nagahara have anything close to a wave cut? I don't know for flutes. My piccolo has it's like a half wave cut. What was it called? Konami, right? Try the Q2 Galway. Okay. I'm putting this in here too. Like if we just had like a like Galway flutes stream, I think would be really interesting, right? From Haynes. That would be so cool. Just having like the Nagahara Galway, Haynes Q2 Galway, the Crusader. That'd be so interesting. Just to kind of see like what are the differences, what are the similarities, you know? Let's see. So Yanni, you have the 950 Nagahara with the 18K extended riser. Perfect. So this is just essentially a 958 version of yours. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So, hello, Martin. You have this specific Sankyo with a Nagahara headjoint. Hey, perfect! They match really well. Are you saying that I have your exact combo? Because maybe we should try that later. Okay, let's try that later. We'll try that at the, like, after I've reviewed this flute as it is. We will do the combo. We'll do Martin's combo. Martin, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm like moving this too much. There we go. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I think I will do that. That's really cool. I hope it fits because this one is standard wall and then that one is heavy wall. So, yeah, let's see. But let's start with the Nagahara. So let's head back to here and let's kind of rename a few things in here. I'm trying to remember to like drink water while I stream. I'm so bad at remembering to do it, even though Victor keeps reminding me. But yeah, because like in the last few reviews, I found myself just very dry mouth like afterwards, you know, because I was like, oh man, I forgot. Okay, Nagahara. There, yeah, Nagahara. In 950 silver plus 958 head joint. Okay, sorry that it went across outside. Yeah, welcome to the scuff, guys. It's actually very low tech. I don't know if you guys have noticed. But okay. So we'll do this. Okay. Make a new page of notes here. And then for here, let's go to I need to label this correctly. So here, then we need this to be much bigger. Here, cool. So Nagahara in 950 silver plus 958 head joint. Oh, it just fits. Okay, sweet. So let's just see what happens. Here we go. Putting the flute together. The extended riser is so pretty. I really like it. Yeah, I can tell that this is a standard wall because it just feels so much lighter to me. All right, and then I'm going to put in a plug. All right, don't mind me and my tiny hands. We're gonna put it in to the inline G here so I don't have to struggle. Okay, here we go. So still, you know, ever since I've like kind of gone back to trying B-foot joint flutes, I'm always like, man, this thing really does look like an alto flute on me. Okay, let's try that and see if that is comfy. Thunky. That's different. That is different. All right, all right. We need to do the close-up shot. That is different. So the Sankyo has a very typical one. So you've got your regular thumb key here, and then you have your B flat key kind of like layered on top of it, but also like it has its kind of arm up here. Look at this. That's so interesting. So like if you look here, so that arm is underneath so that the main thumb key covers the thinner arm of the B flat thumb. That is very cool. When you take it apart, the B flat and B key stays together. That's really cool. What the heck? Oh, that's super cool. I'm just gonna do like a crazy close-up. Okay, yeah. Look at that. That's so cool. Like this is your typical, this is your normal. Yeah. So Yanni has a Nagahara head joint with Brandon body heavy wall. That makes sense because I think the Brandons tend to be a little smaller, don't they? So if you get the heavy wall, then you get it thicker. Oh, that's so cool. Hey, Judith. Ooh, very cool. Okay, back to trying it. There we go. Oh. 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 Interesting. Okay, I think the G, the high G is the outlier harmonic. Like it's the one that kind of shifts forward a bit. I think if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. it's very similar. It's very similar to the Sankyo, except the low C doesn't go as low. So it's actually more comfortable for me. So, by the way, if you guys hear a crazy beeping noise that is not coming from my house, it's coming from outside, and I cannot do anything about it. And I'm so sorry. Can you guys hear that? I'm not sure if you guys can. But anyway, I think so the low C sits a bit higher. We should start drawing this. Let me grab my my little pad here. Yeah, low C sits higher. It like sits on my lip. Like it's a very familiar feeling to me because that's where I want my low C to sit. So my low C low C sits right here. Then okay. The C5 is like, I can feel it right in front of my lower teeth. So it more so shifts backwards. G5 shifts up quite a bit, so I think this has interesting implications for where the middle register E sits, because G5 is already like here. C6. C6 is right above. Oh, thank God the beeping has finally ended. Okay, so C6 is like there. It's at the top of my top tooth. So like there is E6. G6 swoops all the way down. So my flute does this too. So the G6 is like here. It's crazy, but it is. B flat 6 is up here, like it's starting to dig into the roof of my mouth. And then the high C, the reason why I can't get it very reliably is because I think it's above where the B flat is sitting. And so I really have to like literally open my mouth taller in order to create enough space. the C7, technically C7 is like here. So what I actually have to do is I actually have to open up my mouth so that the roof of my mouth is more like that. Okay, so now it's time to label these. So we'll do this. We don't want this to be too big. So this guy is C4. Can you guys read that? No. Kind of, that is. We'll make it bigger. Okay, so C4. Then this one is C5. This one is G5, not 6. This one is C6. And then we have E6. This outlier here is G6. Then this one is B flat 6. And then this guy up here that I have to open my mouth up for is C7. So if we compare, so let's look at the Sankyo. So the Sankyo is like this. You can see how much more spread out that is. Versus this one, it's kind of like the lower notes are squished up. And I believe that's probably why it's a lot easier. It feels easier to more people to get those low notes out. Because I believe that was actually the description of the D cut, so the diligente. Great response in lower register notes. So this is probably why, because it's higher up. You don't have to kind of like really open up the like your chin area to get those low notes out. So we have that. And then let's see what else is different. So I think the thing to look out for here is that the G6 is so far forward. It's what I call the outlier harmonic. So it tends to just kind of like, whatever is the outlier harmonic tends to just kind of swoop all the way forward, low and forward randomly. So for the Sankyo, it was the C7. So you can see how the C7 suddenly swoops lower and more forward. You may not end up actually using those notes very, very often. Like I think in terms of like just a thing to look out for is you just need to kind of practice aiming your notes around G6, G sharp 6, A6 around here. I do this on my own flute, and personally I don't really notice any really big problems as long as you're used to it. But other than that, we can see that here G5 and upwards is all behind the top teeth, whereas here G5 is still actually fairly low, and then everything is kind of more spread out. So I think if you have a smaller mouth like myself, I think you will probably prefer the Nagahara, at least the 958 head joint, so the DA cut, I believe. So maybe we should make that very clear here. Let's make this there. So I'll put here that this is the DA cut. There we go. Yeah, so like, yeah, I think if you have a smaller mouth, you, like myself, you guys can hear how much more easily I kind of like produce like a really like a good core sound, rich full sound on the Nagahara. I think this is why, because it does seem to be built for a smaller mouth, with the exception of the highs, the super high notes. So like going up into C7, I'm gonna guess like if I'm screaming up that high on this particular cut, I'm probably gonna have to kind of like really open up my mouth in order to do so. That is definitely something that you can get used to. You know, partially because I feel that you're not going to be screaming up there all the time. I will say that the Sankyo probably up on top, I'll probably be more comfortable. But yeah, I really like low notes and stuff like that. So the Nagahara is really, really good for that. Okay, very interesting. Do you guys have any comments, questions, thoughts? So, let's see. Oh, you guys are performing and stuff. Enjoy your rehearsal, Jody. So a lot of your studio mates in undergrad play on Nagahara and the full concert Nagahara, Yanni. They all sounded great. Yeah, Nagaharas are beautiful flutes. Holy. Amazing. This is very, very cool. This is very, very cool. Like I feel like alternate universe Joanna, like if there was like no Brannon or something, I probably would really like go for this. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, wow. Okay, I do need to work a little bit on like tone color production, dynamics, that type of thing. Just gonna mess with that a little bit. Oh, that tone color flexibility is actually insane. Like that is actually insane. Wow. It's very responsive. So you go like, I'm messing with the air bubble. So the air bubble in my mouth, if I make it wider and flatter, you immediately get that super rich sound. If you go kind of like narrow, tall, you immediately get a super hollow sound. It's actually amazing, that flexibility. Hello. Wow. Okay, so there is a very interesting, like, I think, unique thing about how you play with tone color here. So when I mess around with the air bubble, I'm sort of messing around with it in sort of a triangle shape. So if the air bubble is like this, kind of your typical kind of air bubble shape is usually circular-ish, maybe a little bean shaped. But if I make that air bubble more triangular, so it is flatter and wider, but more so at the bottom, so it becomes this kind of like really fat triangle, then because you're essentially opening down. So if you open down, you get that full rich sound. And this is like, I found this out by trying the higher note, and I naturally have more room in my mouth to kind of like extend downwards and out. So creating that little, like, my air bubble becomes this like flat triangle, essentially, like going from here to this, if that makes sense. So I'll draw it out really quickly here so you guys can kind of see what's happening. I'm trying to figure out a good, okay, we'll use like orange for this. Oh, whoops. There we go. Let me use this orange. Okay, so if my air bubble is like this, circles are hard. Okay, so whatever, something like that. Okay, if I want to make it wider, kind of like richer, I kind of changed this shape to something like this. No, maybe wider. Something like that, guys. This is so difficult. Wider. Okay, there. So that's how I'm messing around with it. And then if I want to go lighter, the shape is more like this. Now this just makes it look like it's gonna now look like a really terrible eye. So that lighter, like narrow, tiny kind of shape that creates your sort of hollow sound. Then you got your like regular air bubble shape, but then if you kind of like bring it down and out, then you get that really rich shape. And that works for low notes as well. So that does mean that if you're trying to do it on your really low notes, since your air bubble is already here, you do have to open up this space right here in front of your lower teeth if you want to get the full sound. So you'll still get a nice core sound without doing it. But if you want the full sound, you'll need to open that area up. Circles are hard. Yeah, they really are, man. Okay, so that was the interesting part about tone color. But I think the in terms of dynamics, I think it's just the size of the air bubble. Wow. Woo! Did you guys hear how much I can push against that? That's crazy. Do I feel like it plays like a diva? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is like very like soloistic sound, you know, showpiece type of flute. Like this will just play showpieces like butter, basically. Oh, wow. Yeah, you have to kind of let the flute do its thing. Exactly. So in this case, the flute is kind of the driver, and that is a preference of whether or not you want that. Yeah, very soloistic. You're not fully in the driver's seat, I would say. The flute is really kind of dictating how it wants to be played. This is the other side of this coin is exactly why I have had some students try my Manka head joint and tell me that they're very sorry, but they did not like it because they felt like there was no center. There was no, they were all over the place. Like their sound was all over the place. They didn't know where to put their, you know, like where to focus their air, where to put that air bubble. And it's really because my flute is sort of built to be so flexible that as the player, you're in the driver's seat. That it's not a right or wrong way to do things. It's a preference. I prefer to be in the driver's seat. I prefer to be the one doing the manipulating. But a lot of people prefer the flute to be more or less in the driver's seat, where it sort of dictates a particular sound that it wants to play. It dictates like even the projection levels and the color palette, that type of thing. And you can really feel if you've hit the mark, because it's like suddenly it's like the flute plays itself, and it's so effortless that it really does feel like the flute is sort of playing itself. Yeah. Powell feels more like a bully. Nagahara feels like a diva. Yeah. Is that what Alice said when she tried your Nagahara? Yeah, it's sort of like it's driving me, you know. And yeah, so like I do want to make it very clear that that is a fully a preference thing. It's not a right or wrong. It's some people like to be in the driver's seat, like myself, fully. Like it's like driving automatic versus manual. So when it comes to flute, I prefer to drive manual. But lots of people, very successful people, like to play on flutes that are essentially like driving automatic. So it truly is just a preference thing. Yeah. Nagahara tells you what to do, and you have to let it do its thing. Yes, exactly. That I do feel that. Like, I would say that I find these types of flutes the easiest to review because I can tell immediately what it wants. It's the flutes that want me to be in the driver's seat that I can't always tell what it really wants. Like, how much is what I'm doing something that the flute doesn't like, but how much is just I'm manipulating it in a way that is just happens to be causing this particular sound, right? Like, how much of it is the flute driving versus how much is it me driving? So it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Yeah, but I do find that flutes that know what they want, they're the easiest to review. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but I'm like really just like kind of like very quickly making my way through what this flute wants. Because it's just very easy to feel it. You know, it's driving me. So so we did dynamics. Yeah, dynamics is really just the size of the airstream. Size of the airstream and air bubble in the mouth. It's just bigger is louder, smaller is softer. One thing to keep in mind that is common among all flutes that I have noticed is that the bigger your air bubble is, the more you need to shift it back a little bit from, you know, where we've put it on our map in here, in this little map, this mouth map. And the smaller the air bubble is, the more you need to shift it forward a little bit. Kind of keeps it more in tune as well, because your lower lip will kind of come out and sort of retune it properly. But I find that if you're trying to look for just straight up just like the nice core in the sound, that's kind of what happens. If that air bubble is really big, you got to shift it back. If the air bubble is really small, you got to shift it forward a little bit. So just something for you guys to know about flutes. I do find myself doing it on this one as well. But that is a very common thing. It's not a Nagahara specific type of thing. Okay, so now I want to just try out my tonguing, see how that's going. So similar to my manka, so I don't particularly feel like I'm doing anything really different. Just for anyone who's dropping in and wondering where I'm putting my tongue, I am following the map that I have made here. So this is sort of like a kind of like a guesstimation map of like where all the notes want to be tongued, and you so depending on what note you're playing, match it to the map that I am matching it to the map that I've made here, and I'm placing my tongue right behind where the air bubble is. So every time if I hit right behind the air bubble, it makes it the clearest. So here we go. Yeah. I think this is another alternate universe, Joanna. Like if I wanted to be a solo player, I think it would. This is very close to it. Oh. F major in thirds. We'll try that. comfortable for me. It's very comfortable. But 100% the flute is driving. Yeah. I guess if you guys wanted to feel how I play, this is a very close approximation to how I play. But I like being in the driver's seat, right? But I guess if you wanted to feel what it would feel like to play automatic Joanna, this might be an interesting way for you guys to find out that that's how I play. This is very close. It's not quite the same, but it's very close to my Monka Brannon combo, which I believe, if I have it open, so let's see if this, you see how similar? Wait, that's insanely similar. Oh, holy crap, no wonder. Oh, look how similar that is. Wait, that's insanely similar. But you see how, like, the only difference is that the C7 here is, like, just low enough that I don't have to open my mouth up for it. You guys see that? Look how, that's actually insane. Like, this is just slightly further back for, like, starting at the G5. This one, the G5, is still a hair more forward. Yeah. That's actually insane how similar. Oh my god. Yeah, you were correct that I would like Nagahara. Holy. You should feel very proud of yourself. Yeah, I think if you guys wanted to get a feel of how I prefer to play, this is like, if you can play this flute and you can get a feel of how Joanna plays, and that can be sort of your base of, like, you know, you can use this as sort of like a way to like compare all of my other reviews, you know? Like, it's always good for, I think, you guys to know what my bias is, because I know that when I'm doing these reviews, I am doing it through my lens. So it might be interesting for you guys to experience my lens. And, you know, essentially like an auto Joanna, you know, and because I have had students play, as I was saying, my Monka Brannon combo. So this is my Monka Brannon combo. And, you know, it's not as apparent where, you know, like, this map is not as apparent to more than one person who has tried it now. And it's really because this combo allows the flutist to be driving manually. But if you don't want to drive manually, just want the flute directing you on how to do it, the Nagahara. Wow. Yeah, I'll bet we're pretty similar players. I'll bet we're pretty darn similar players. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Monka does not let you get away with anything. You have to be in control of everything. Exactly. And I like it that way. I feel like, personally, I feel like I have a little bit more artistic liberty, if that makes sense. I love to do those kind of like pitch bendy, folky sounds, you know? And I don't really think I can do as much of it here with the Nagahara, which I think it might be interesting actually for me to try. I'm going to try some Genshin-y things. It has a more folky sound to it. And then let's play some classical, maybe French romantic stuff, just so you guys can hear how, like, what I mean by this. So if I go... Spirit Coast, and that is such a sweet thing to say. I appreciate it very much. I can definitely feel this flute is driving me. It really like wants a specific sound, and it will only produce the specific sound that it wants. I'm still able to play it very beautifully, but I don't have as much wiggle room. I think what I want to do very quickly, just to show you guys what I mean, because again, I'm very conscious of the fact that not everyone is dropping in knows how I actually really like to play this. So I will play my Monka now. Monka Brandon combo with C-foot joint. So I won't play the whole thing, but just some spots for you guys to really hear what I mean. And keep in mind that in terms of like kind of placement of the air bubble, it is very similar, which I will put here for you guys. It's very, very similar. So I'm not actually doing very much different with like inside my mouth, but you'll hear that I'll be able to make a little bit more changes to it. And this is neither a good thing or a bad thing. This is a preference thing. See, it doesn't drive me. Okay, you guys hear that? Like, like I still crack on this thing because it's not dictating to me what it wants to do, right? So you do run the risk of cracking more and stuff like that on a flute that doesn't, dictate how it wants to be played. But you can hear that the trade-off is that I can really push and pull the sound more, the like color, the kind of like the weight that I'm putting against the flute. It's really hard to explain exactly what I'm doing, but you'll hear that the Nagahara will essentially like resist it. So I'll do some parts again. Of course, I said I was only going to play a bit of it, but I felt compelled to play the entire thing. Let me switch this back for you guys. There. Do you hear how it's resisting my kind of push and pull, It wants to be played a certain way, and that is the way it will be played, you know? So you can hear a bit of like me pushing against it, but it's not giving, you know? In my experience though, this is much better for playing like more kind of classical type of stuff. So like let's say you're doing Mozart G, all right? Like you'll hear that it's very easy to just like get a great sound, that like a very soloistic sound, and it stays there. Like you don't have to, because like you want this sort of consistent sound when you're doing classical era French Romantic stuff. You want a consistent sound throughout. And then if you're on my flute, you get a very kind of like folky, almost kind of inconsistent sound. So we'll do a bit of Mozart G. It's like a very soloistic sound, you know? I really want to play the chaminade, but I get demonetized immediately from playing that. So I believe there are other pieces that don't get dinged as much, which I think last time we were saying, which one is the one that goes like the gone? There's the gone. Cantabile e presto, Enesco. I'm not saying his name correctly. Do not at me, guys. But here we go. So if we do Cantabile e presto. Oh, you're right. Four Fantasy is a good one. Yeah, because I remember that my biggest issue with this beginning bit is keeping the tone color consistent, because I really wanted to just like go like nuts playing with it, but it was heavily advised for me not to. Oh, wow. That by far is like the most consistent sound that I've had. I'm sorry, I had to go folky at the end. Hi, Chris. I am dooting the flute very hard. But yeah, wow. I'm very curious now. I'm going to play it on the Sankyo. So let's switch this to the Sankyo. Okay. I'm also going to do this where I'm looking up here. Let's see, for a let's see. Okay. Okay. Because I just want to be a little bit more comfortable, so I will do it on the screen up here. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Let's try it on the Sankyo. Because this one, slightly different. It's a wider. Okay. Very low. Okay. When I switch between the Nagahara and the Sankyo, immediately I'm like, the Sankyo, at least this combo here, 100% made for a person with a much bigger mouth. So like, it feels like a Nagahara, but bigger. So maybe the better way of putting it is because Nagahara-san trained under Sankyo, right? So it's almost like, it's like the Nagahara almost feels, it's like a smaller cousin of the Sankyo. So like a lot of the behaviors are the same, but like it's just way more stretched out. So me having a smaller mouth, you guys could probably hear us having a little bit of like some difficulties like placing the note, just because like the low notes sat way lower than I was used to. So I have to kind of play like that. Whew. Yeah. My new bougie backup flute would probably be a Nagahara. Yeah, I think so. So like, I just so you guys can hear, especially because this is so close to how I play. I think I do need to do this on my own flute. So let me switch so you guys can see that this is what we're working with here. Okay, here we go. Did something wrong. All right, can you guys hear like the difference? Like it at this point you can really tell that it's a preference thing, right? There's a give or take, okay? So like for me the preference would be between the Manka and Brannon and the Nagahara. The Nagahara, you can tell, way more consistent in the sound. If I try to push against it, it pushes back against me so that it maintains a very consistent sound, much less prone to cracking. But at the same time, you can't really push against it. Now, if you can push against it, you get my Manka and Brannon. So my Manka Brannon combo, you can tell that I can push against it, really push and pull. But the trade-off is that it's more easily cracks. So it's kind of like, what do you want then, right? What do you prefer more in your sound? What does your career need, right? My career does not need me to not crack all the time. So, like it, and I like to sort of like push against the flute and like really make it like kind of like push and pull on the tone colors and stuff like that. And like just to have more of that folky sound, and the folky sound has a lot of naturally cracked notes and stuff like that. So like, I think that's why I really like gravitated towards that. The Sankyo, however, is like, it truly is just like a bigger mouth version, with a different outlier harmonic, but really goes really low. So like, I wonder if you tried playing a Nagahara and you felt like it was just super cramped, then you might prefer the Sankyo, at least the FT cut that we have here. So it's interesting. It's super interesting. You can absolutely feel the Sankyo influence on the Nagahara. So thank you for getting me to compare them, yeah, the Sankyo just really feels like a very like stretched out bottom heavy version of the Nagahara. Yeah. Yeah, I just get a more brilliant sound, I feel, on the Nagahara because, well, the DA cut is kind of your quintessential sort of like American kind of like a, you know, flute values, if you will, you know, dark core, you know, vibrant, kind of like, you know, very bright. It's I know it's weird to some people to like be like, how can you be dark and bright at the same time? But it's a dark core, but with sort of like a brilliant, bright vibrancy to the sound, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's very cool. Now, before we run out of time, I have a good 45-ish minutes to do this. So I think it's Martin in here in the chat who has the combo of the Nagahara head on the Sankyo body, right? So I'm going to see if it fits. No promises. It may not fit, or we may even need to do like a, you know, like a tape type of thing. Hopefully that does work. But let me just very quickly do a little swabby. Ooh, that is gross. Ooh, yeah. I don't think you guys saw that, but ooh, that is. Okay. Oh, honey. Oh, Lottie. Oh, this. Nope. I think I need to actually swab them out. Okay. Okay, we're putting aside the Nagahara body for now. Okay, so put that over here. Yeah, we're gonna use Cam Voyage. So for anyone who's dropping by for the first time, Cam Voyage is the flute swab and polishing cloth company run by Just Another Flute Guy here in the chat. This is what I use if I actually want to get things dry. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. And yeah, I need to use this to get this dry. Ooh, like you can tell I've been playing the heck out of this thing. Yes, there's Cam Voyage. So going to give this a nice dry, nice swab. Okay, yeah, much better. Okay, and then we are using the Sankyo body, right? We already moved it out here. Yes, I should be able to tell from the thumb. Okay, don't mind the clicky. Let me just blot that really quickly. This is what happens when you play for a while. Oh, got it. Okay. Can tell where the sticky is. Still clicking a little bit, but like it's doing the kind of sound. Oh well, it's okay. All right, gonna dry the body. Song and Wind, hello, welcome. How are you doing? There it is. Ooh, yeah. Okay, nice and dry. So now let's try Martin's combo. So this is the Sankyo body. And let's see if the Nagahara head fits. No, it doesn't. No can do. I'm sorry. Cannot do. It like just doesn't fit. Oh, that's really sad. I wanted to do that combo, man. Oh, man, doesn't fit. I'm so sad. I think what it is probably have to get a like, I wonder if it would be different if it was like a standard wall Sankyo, you know. So Song and Wind, you tried Manka. I know, I love Manka, as you can tell. It's what I ended up with. There we go. And then we have, I think I'd like to dry this out too. Don't think I had a chance to. Yamaha wooden flute with a few different wooden Manka heads. Ooh, very nice. That's a great combo. I have tried the Yamaha wooden flute before at festivals, and it's very impressive. So what about my Manka on the Nagahara? Oh, I can try that. So Buffy wants to hear the difference between Sankyo with RT. Oh, I just returned that one. Maybe I can get it back sometime. I can write it down. Sankyo RT with the Nagahara Konami. That's true because they're both like wave style, right? So RT versus Nagahara Konami. I don't promise these, by the way. I don't promise these. It really depends on what Flute Center has in stock, because even though like it might say online that they have it, it might be out on trial. So you know, people who have the flutes out on trial get first dibs. I do not actually get first dibs, and for good reason, guys, because I'm not buying. Well, normally I'm not buying these instruments, you know, except for like, you know, but normally I'm not buying these instruments, but so I don't actually get first dibs. But yeah. Yeah. Wooden flutes are not hard to play. In my opinion, they're okay. Maybe it really is just a personal opinion, though. Personally, I find wooden flutes easier to play, but that's a very personal preference. I think that's why I ended up with a wood lip plate. I think because I really like the push and pull feel on a wood, any sort of wood. I noticed that it's pretty much any wood. Like I really feel like I can kind of push against it and it gives. It doesn't like resist against me. Whereas I feel that for like a lot of metal flutes, kind of like what we're talking about today, like the Nagahara kind of pushes back against me, and it sort of like really establishes a sound that it wants, you know? And I think that's why I like gold, because gold gives to me as well. Like it's a softer metal, so it gives against me. But yeah, so what we can try right now is, and I think what I'll do, because we're just playing around right now, let's make this go away, but let's have some notes out for our Nagahara. So very similar to Manka Brannon combo, like insanely similar. Flute is the driver, not the player. Okay, the flute's the driver. Very consistent sound, consistent tone, sound, and what else? We look here, right? The so like if you want to get full resonance, so richness equals kind of like open up under the air bubble. That I think is a pretty unique thing. Like you're kind of opening underneath it. Yeah, but it's a good one. It's a really good one. But now let's play around, because I think Nicholas mentioned trying out the does this fit? Yes. Okay, so it's a little loose, so I'm going to put a little bit of tape. Okay, that might be too much tape, but let's see. Is this too much tape? No, it's not enough. Woo, okay. Oh, that's too much tape. Okay. Okay, so somewhere in between. Got it. Tried that much. Come on. Okay. Ooh, ooh. Okay. So we'll try that much. Okay, yeah, that's good. Yep. Still a little loose, but at least it's staying in there. So this is my manka on the Nagahara. Let's see how this plays. I do still have to open up my mouth quite a bit to get that highest one out. It's interesting that that is sort of dictated by the body of the flute. It feels to me like the flute still feels like it's driving me, but now it has like a woody edge to the sound. So if we try like the Genshin theme, it might have more of that slightly more folky sound. gonna skip a bit. Skip. Oh, that's so interesting. I still feel like the flute's driving me. Like it now wants just like a very like a woodsy kind of thick sound, and it wants me to stay in there. Oh, that's so interesting. So now if we try Euphoria Fantasy. It's like it's so strange. It's like an in between. It's like an in between of my sound, like my kind of like very like loosey goosey folky sound, but like it's like it's been kind of like it's like someone nailed my sound in place, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of in the one tone, like one palette, I guess you could say. Sorry. sharps. And then I need to scroll. Okay. There we go. I'm sorry, I haven't played this in a very long time. I forgot what meter I was in. So what I've been finding very interesting is that, yeah, it really like nails my sound into one palette. So there's still some push and pull within the palette, but the palette is much more like kind of limited to the soloistic sound. So it does lend itself very well to this. Yeah, it's locking me into the woodsy sound. Thank you, Victor. Yeah, different shades of the same color. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, because the more I'm playing this, the more I'm like, it's great, but like I'm sort of locked in to the one sound. So before I swap back, because I have to take off all the tape, I'm going to, I want to try Nehru Embracing the Light from Ori and the Blind Forest. So let's try this. This is my arrangement for a wedding, but here we go. not sure if you guys heard it, but my sound started to get a little bit kind of floofy in the phrase that I just did. And it's because I kind of wanted it to have more of like a hollowy open sound in the spot, but I can tell that this combo does not want it. So we're going to go back and do it again, but I will stay in that deep core sound. You hear how the flute's happier with that? Like the flute literally feels happier. Like it's not resisting me. Like it's very open, you know? This is so interesting. Yeah, I really want a more hollow tone for especially the part where you, like that very climactic part, you know? The part where you go. I want a hollower tone, because if it's like this kind of like very rich sound, it's a little much, because you want the more like a wood flute or like a passion flute. So so this is made by Passion Flutes. So this is a clay flute. I think it's this one. Is it this one that I play with the... It's going to be in a different key, guys. Sorry. Oh, actually not. Oh gosh. the sound I'm going for. I'm not doing a great job on it because it is really hard to kind of switch between the two. But like I want that more hollowy, like folky sound. Ugh. Okay, so if I try to get that sound. It just sounds airy rather than having that sort of like hollowy sound. Yeah. So it's locking me into a very, very rich sound. That's it. Airy rather than breathy. I want it to be breathy. I don't want it to be fuzzy airy. Because you can hear how there's like there's an airiness to this sound. You hear that? It's like, yes, you're right. I'm looking for the breathy sound for it, but not to be airy. Like it should still have a very good core to the sound, but I'm actually losing the core if I go into that airy sound. That's me trying to get the hollow sound. So if I want the core back, it's suddenly rich, right? You hear that? So like so this combo would not work very well for like this type of music, you know? So like if you find yourself, you know, essentially playing chamber stuff, because a lot of chamber stuff tends to be tends to have a lot of like folk influences or like want to have almost a folk sound. This is just going to steamroll everyone. Like everyone's just going to be like steamrolled by you, just completely, just like you're just going to just cover everyone with your sound. So you may have noticed that the Nagahara like head joint cuts had all of these like little things about like, you know, great for small ensemble playing. You know, this one is great for like solo stuff, you know, because there is a difference. You guys can hear it, right? Like even with my head joint, it like this, I'm just noticing that this flute is just a very soloistic flute. So I'm thinking if you wanted to kind of like bring down the soloistic craziness of this and give it try a Nagahara that like has kind of like the same sort of sound but kind of a different feel, like a similar sound, different feel. You might want to look into the golds, I think, because the softer metal will give you something to kind of sort of like kind of push against, you know. I think that's why I've ended up liking full gold flutes, or that is, mine is rose gold, because I think I can push against it, you know, like I can really lean against it. Whereas I don't feel that I have enough to lean against to get that breathy sound, but still has the core, you know? So yeah, it's super interesting. So this is like another alternate universe, Joanna. So like if I did more classical stuff, more French romantic, like you can hear how this is just so good for maintaining that consistent sound for, you know, for romantic music and for classical era music. Really, really good for that. Like, but you know, when I do want to push the sound, I'm not getting that, the kind of like, you know, more of that breathy sound that I want. So what I'm going to do now is take off we still have a few minutes here, so I'm just going to keep letting myself play. I'm having a lot of fun here. I hope you guys are too. So I'm going to play the same things, but on my flute. So one is French romantic. So we'll go back to the French romantic. I did already play the first bit, but I'll play some of it again for you guys. But you guys will be able to hear that there's this instrument has a lot more push and pull. So it is actually legitimately harder to keep a consistent sound. Sometimes we want milk chocolate, not dark chocolate. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like, you still want that chocolatiness, but you don't want it completely dark all the time sometimes. Like, did you notice that, like, in order for me to make this work, I actually had to play this more like a folk song. Like, I think this combo forces me to, like, I need to not actually go for a consistent sound. I know that sounds weird, but like I actually need to go for a non-consistent sound. Let's try the fast part. Okay. No G sharps. it very differently, huh? Like on my own flute. Like I'm starting to really understand what my flute wants, which is very interesting. Okay, so if I try now, I'm gonna play a bit back to Nehru, Embracing the Light. So this one is a lot more folky, and I think you guys will hear that I can kind of push more. That's the sound that I wanted here. You hear how it's like breathy, but it still has that core. Like it still has some core, but it has this sort of like more open, breathy sound. I hope you guys heard what I meant. Like, I was trying to get that sound when I was on the Nagahara. This guy here. But it wasn't letting me get that like really like breathy kind of like hollowy sound. So, but on the flip side, you guys can hear that when I was playing the foray fantasy, I don't keep a consistent kind of like rich tone color throughout, because it's really hard to stay in there. So I'm sort of forced to play classical era, romantic era music. I'm forced to play them in this sort of loosey-goosey folky way for it to sound good on my flute. So that, I think, is a preference thing. I don't think that it is always appropriate to play it that way, depending on what you're playing it for. So for example, if you're playing for like a competition, or you're playing for like an audition, oh honey, you do not want to do the folky loosey-goosey way. you don't want to play that way. I highly doubt that you will pass the audition if you play that way. It very much is it's a very unique way of playing. I think it does kind of make me sound different from a lot of other flutists. With my job, with the way it is, I think I'm here to review flutes and teach the flute. I don't really do much else. So I feel like I have and I like to be the one blending into other people. So if I have this flute that's sort of loosey-goosey tone color wise, it allows me to sort of slip into other people's sound very easily. So my flute, I feel, works very well in sort of like the way I use it, which is to push and pull however I want and to play chamber stuff. But it is not good for soloistic. So if you want soloistic, you want something that will dictate the sound for you. So like the Nagahara is really, really good for that. Sankyo as well. I'm noticing the Sankyo as well also kind of sort of like drives for you. So yeah, I would say that is kind of my conclusion here is, what kind of flutist do you want to be? What kind of flutist are you? If you are, playing more soloistic stuff, or you're playing first flute in orchestra, like if I have heard that auditioning for orchestras and stuff like that, they're essentially also looking at your sound. Your sound needs to be consistent and predictable enough that they know that you will fit into their existing sound. Some orchestras are brighter, some orchestras are darker, some orchestras are somewhere in between, but like each orchestra kind of has its like kind of signature sound. And so when you're auditioning, you're not just auditioning on your skill level, they're also just seeing if your tone color palette actually matches theirs. Now, if you're loosey-goosey like me, they're going to be like, what the heck are you? We can't tell how you play, so we don't know if you fit with us, right? But if you have a flute that kind of dictates the sound for you and is the real driver of like what your tone color palette is, when you go into these auditions, the right orchestra will find you. That's kind of how you want to think of it. Like, just because you want to get into an orchestra does not necessarily mean that you fit in with that orchestra very well, right? If you're going to play in an orchestra, you want to play in an orchestra that really fits you. It's a lot like finding a good flute for you. You're also finding a good orchestra for you. So yeah, that I would say that's kind of, those are my takeaways from this, and that was really fun. So I think I will start packing up now. I didn't expect it to kind of go in this direction, but it did. While I pack up, let me know if you guys have any more questions. I will also catch up with the whatchamacallit, the chat, and see what you guys think. So let's see. So Song and Win, you haven't thought about flutes and accessories for a good 36 years, but you would consider a wooden flute to change things up a bit. Oh yeah. Like especially if you are, like 36 years to not kind of think about like making a difference to your sound. Like I would expect that you've evolved in that time, right? Like maybe there are different, different types of music that you enjoy playing now. Maybe you enjoy playing with different sizes of groups, so like I would imagine you've evolved, which, if you feel that the wooden flute sound, is giving you that kind of like the palette that you're looking for, go for it, Yeah. 85 degrees bakery rules. What is the 85 degrees bakery rule? I know about 85 degrees, the 85 degrees bakery cafe. If you guys don't know, it is a like it's an Asian bakery. Like they do coffee and tea and baked goods and stuff like that. What is the rule that you're talking about? Kind of like saying that it's best to find a winning lottery ticket that fits you. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to be real with you. I mean, I didn't expect to meet this head joint. It was chance complete. Like I wasn't looking for it. I was looking for a Lafon, which, 2 weeks ago we got to do like a deep dive into that. And we got to find out why, like, what another alternate universe Joanna would have been like. Rules, as in awesome. Great. Yeah, they are. Lafons are very easy to play. Especially if you're a Brandon player. They're very easy to play. It's yeah, but I think I also felt that the Lafon sort of like upon reflection now, I do feel that the Lafon sort of like dictated a particular sound as well. Like I couldn't push to get that, the breathy sound. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I really like the breathy sound. It's a sound that I've been chasing. I've been chasing that color since I want to say 12, because that's when the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring came out. And the I just played the Concerning Hobbits, flute theme over and over and over. And I kept playing it on my little Mateki flute and just trying so hard to get that delightful breathy sound, but with the core still. And it's like, I got pretty close on the Mateki, and then I think, maybe that's why I wandered into getting a gold Brandon, and I ended up with the 10K gold because it was the cheapest gold, which was another lottery ticket. That was just it just so happened that, out of all the golds, like 10 carat, I think works pretty well. Like 9 carat, 10 carat, it like works the best on me out of all of them. Like, and I say that even though my head joint is 14K, but the rest of my flute is 10K. So I almost feel like the like lighter amount of gold, for some reason it just makes it a lot easier for me to kind of push and pull against it. And so like, like I have been chasing many things. I've been chasing the taste of my nephew's coffee. I've been chasing the sound, like this particular sound of this flute. Sorry, I realize that you guys probably want to see more of my desktop here. And I've been I think this just when I tried the Manko for the first time, and I was like, oh, I can make the sound. I can make the sound that I've always wanted to make. And then I, now that I'm reflecting on all of my practice sessions that I've had since then, the biggest issue is when I play classical era and romantic era music, and also just kind of like big flute repertoire, pieces, some in the 20th century as well. I noticed that my biggest issue was the consistency of the sound. I was just like, it's so hard to control the sound such that it stays completely consistent. And I had so much trouble with that. It was causing a lot of like cracked notes, because I'm just like, it felt like, walking a tightrope. But then as soon as I play Genshin stuff, as soon as I play more folky things, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like, it's just whatever I want to sound like, it just sounds like it, you know? And so I think in like by doing these reviews, I'm really learning what I need to do on my own flute, that will make it sound much better. And I'm realizing now that I like I had a thought earlier, like maybe last year, I was like, what if I played the Iber concerto like a folk song? Like, what if I treated it like a folk song? So I started to do it, and kind of doing it tentatively and not 100% like throwing myself into it. I was sort of like playing with the idea. And I really was noticing that like it is working much better on my head joint, but I still kind of had this feeling of like, oh no, this is wrong. I need to make sure it's like very consistent sounding. But yeah, like right now I'm really realizing, oh no, I need to let myself be sort of loosey goosey on my manka. It wants it, like, and if I don't let myself be loosey goosey, I actually crack more, weirdly enough. So, it's all very like, I'm actually learning more about how I play by doing these reviews. Yeah. So you want me to try a David C. Williams head joint? Perfect. Let me write that down. I did see that you mentioned this earlier, so I will put this here. So David C. Williams head joint. Perfect. I put it in. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's see. Golden Ticks from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, it's really what it feels like when you come across a head joint, a flute that really like fits you and fits your style and fits the type of music that you like to play. It like you suddenly feel this like insane liberation and freedom. Like it's like, whoa, suddenly like everything works. Like everything that you were struggling to do, it's like crazy. Little Fugue, you bought a Brandon head joint a while back. Can't wait until you can have a whole Brandon flute. I am partial to Brandon. And I think part of it is just like it's so small. Like it's such a small flute, so it fits someone like me very, very well. So if I wonder if maybe you have a similar experience. Awesome. I love being nerds with you guys. This is so fun, and this is such a wonderful escape from life. I was saying earlier in the stream, I'm not at my 100% today, and I had the tiniest little little what if in my head where I was like, what if I canceled today? Like I was very close to it because I'm just gonna say it again. I'm on my period, and I'm not not feeling that grand, and on top of that, my husband is not doing the best either. He's flaring again. This one is a bad flare, so we're looking at, it's been going on for a few weeks now, and it looks like we probably have a few weeks left to go because a bad flare usually lasts around 6 weeks. So it's just, and then, we're not going to talk about it, but I will just very slightly address, the world right now, or my world right now, is not feeling the most stable either. So it's just, I really needed this escape. That's all we're saying about it. Okay. We're not going to get into political things in here, but it is definitely contributing to my current state right now. Yeah, I just, I'm not doing the greatest right now, but at the same time, like, I'm so glad I decided to show up for myself and show up for you guys, and because I feel a lot better. Being a nerd for a few hours with other nerds is one of the most healing things you can do for yourself. Oh, we're talking about more different flutes? Is that what's happening? I love this. Oh, Michael, thank you. I think for me, I have to remember that it's okay to be human, and it's okay to not be at 100% all the time. And, as long as I communicate that, like, you guys understand. And I'm very lucky that you guys understand. Yeah, because I know that not all content creators are, blessed with such a, hashtag blessed, but like for real, not all content creators are blessed with viewers who get it, Little few, you were struggling to get flute practice today, but you still got some time to squeeze 40 minutes in. Now you want to play. I'm so happy to be able to, like, bring that joy, because I find that, like, when you're working with things that require practice and stuff like that, if you really bring in the joy factor and the fun factor, you really want to go and practice and get better at it, like, yeah, I think a lot of times we get carried away with, like, getting good, and sometimes we forget about just the sheer joy of doing this, so I'm glad that I can contribute to that part. Song and wind. Okay, well, I'm going to go excuse myself. I do need to teach a lesson after this, so I have like a good 10 minutes or so before the lesson. So I am going to just have a little bit of downtime before I teach. Yeah, every time I think about this, I'm always like, can't believe this is my life. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining and joining me on this journey. This did not go where I thought it would go, and I'm for it. I'm here for it. And please take care of yourselves, because there's no music without the musician. As you can tell, I'm very much slower than I am on other days. Oh, well, it's okay. Sometimes it's like that. Thank you. I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. And I shall see you guys sometime next week. They're already here. They came with the same box. We have some fun little things to try. Kind of it's just kind of random. It's a random thing for me to try. But I'm really happy and very excited too. So that will be next week sometime, probably the Thursday. But yeah, I will see you then. You guys have yourselves an amazing rest of your week, and have a great weekend. And I will see you guys next week. Laters, guys.